You are now listening to Mike's Opinion, Logic Unleashed.
That's right. You are now listening to the Mike's Opinion podcast. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good. Did you miss me? Did you miss me? I missed you. As you know, by the last episode, I took a brief hiatus. I had to take a break. I needed a break for sure. As you know, I'm the writer, the producer, the engineer, the recorder, the researcher, the host. Yo, I'm a one-man band. I'm playing it all, y'all. But I hope you're doing good out there. It's been 3 weeks since my last episode, and like I said, I needed a break, a much needed break. I hadn't taken a break in a long time. What is that? Why is that even happening? I apologize for that sound. It's a long story, but that's an old BlackBerry phone that my young son was playing with, and apparently he must have set some type of timer or alarm. Anyway, I digress, as I normally do. I hope you're doing fine. It is mid-November 2021, and I've been off for 3 weeks. Like I said, I took a few weeks off, but I wasn't going to stay gone long. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you. Shout out to Rakim, Eric B. and Rakim. Yes. Today's episode, as you can see by the title, is really about mindfulness and thankfulness. It's about things that we take for granted. And you know what? There's so much. And I'll tell you what brought me about the subject of this episode today in just a moment. But how are you? How are you doing? You know, I always do an update episode. There's one coming soon, but I'll just do a brief recap. Of course, you know what's going on. The 1-point-something trillion bill has passed. Joe Biden is going around touting that. There's a couple of, the Rittenhouse, trial. The Ahmaud Arbery trial is going on. You know, Thanksgiving is right around the corner, but Christmas and Christmas decorations and Christmas shopping and Black Friday has all arrived very early due to a severe backlog of shipping containers sitting on primarily the coast of California that can't get these gifts. You know, all of the stuff that feeds our American consumerism is stuck in the pipeline. I remember that, you know, back when the Locks was having trouble with Diddy, they said Diddy told him, yo, your money is tied up in the pipeline. Shout out to the LOX, yo, who ripped it on verses against the Diplomats. Dipset. I'm from Harlem, the South Bronx, so you know it is what it is. But anyway, like I said, I digress. But I really hope you're doing good. I hope you miss me. Mike's Opinion Show at gmail.com is the email address. Mike's Opinion Show at gmail.com. Hit me up. Say, yo, Mike, I missed you. What you been up to? Start a dialogue. I still respond to everybody personally. I haven't farmed that out to anybody. So I add that to the list of things that I do as well. But I do it for you and for me. And if you listen to other episodes, you know why I do it. So without further ado, I like to gaze at the stars. I like to be as fully immersed in Earth and our earthly activities as possible. I've liked to pass that on to my children, for which I have two. I have an older one and I have a young one. He's still in his single digits. He just lost a couple of molars, and the adult molar is going to be pushing through soon. But tonight was the Leonid meteor shower. It's an annual event. If you don't know about it, check it out. However, there's a full moon coming in a couple of days, and the moon was shining bright tonight. So we went outside and didn't see any. Now, a couple months ago, we went out to the Perseus meteor shower, And my young son didn't catch any, but my wife saw one, I saw two. And this is something I've been doing for many, many years before he was even born, before I even met my wife. You know, I used to go out and watch these things because these are one of the things we take for granted. And this is what this episode is about. I just wanted to do a brief episode to come back, you know, flex the chops a little bit, get back into the groove. And I thought today, I said, you know what? This is the perfect subject to come back to, because I don't take you for granted. The support you give the show, the feedback you give the show, and helping the show grow. I truly appreciate you all who listen, who follow, like, subscribe, share, and who do all of that, you know, and contribute as well. I can't say it enough how much I thank you, and I definitely do not take you for granted. I love you, and I mean that. You know, watching these things that happen on earth, like I said, you know, we get so involved in, you know, for most of us, it's the bills and the grind and the this and the that. You know, it's easy to forget these wonderful things that we have in our lives. These things we just take for granted that are just there. And the Leonid meteor shower, I urge you, look up. Daytime or nighttime. But the night sky is fascinating. Unfortunately, I live in a very light polluted area. My area is filled with light pollution. And there's maps for that too. You can go see if your area is polluted with light and it's not optimal for stargazing. But tonight, it really, really wouldn't have mattered. If you had a clear night, that moon was bright. And even though the Leonid meteor shower, which like I said is an annual event, has had up to 50,000 meteors per hour. Now that hasn't happened in a long time. But even if the moon wasn't out, they were only anticipating between 12 and 15 meteors per hour. So it wouldn't have been very, very active. You'd have been lucky to catch a meteor streaking across the sky. And I don't know how you feel about that. But for me, it's literally awesome, awe-inspiring. It's amazing to me to watch these shooting stars, these meteors. If you've ever seen one, and the latest one I saw was, I was driving to the pizza shop, go pick up some pizza. This was still summertime, probably July, August. And I'm driving towards the pizza shop on a main thoroughfare, main roadway. And this huge fireball, it was greenish and black. And of course, it was in an instant. You know, it couldn't last even a whole second, but it darted across, and it was amazing to me. Where did it come from? Where's it going? What's on it? What's it made of? These things we take for granted. You know. So, I let my son stay up late. It's a school night, and even though we homeschool, we have a structure. He has a bedtime. He gets up, you know, we go to school. We do the whole nine, even though he doesn't go to a school building. Like I said, we're home all day, every day, because our office out of the house. My wife supports the business. He homeschools our son, yada, yada. So I let him stay up late for this. We're out there midnight in the backyard. We got some patio furniture. We're leaning back, looking up, and we're listening to old, like 70s rock, right? And what started that is because I was, you know, I just thought of this song, blinded by light, wake up like a dojo in the morning. And I don't know if any of y'all old enough to know that song. And, I can't even recall the group that sings it. Anyway, me and my wife was laughing because neither one of us knew the words. And we just let the little, you know, I selected a playlist based on that song, and we just listened to some old rock. Another thing, you know, that I try to expose my son to all types of music, even though I'm from New York City. I was there with the birth of hip hop. I love hip hop, love R&B, but I love all types of music. Rock, you know, classical, reggae, country. I love all types of music. As long as it moves me, I don't care what genre it's in. Mad digression, I know. Crazy digression. But anyway, so because we didn't see any tonight, any meteors in the Leonid meteor shower, I said, all right, you know what? Son, go get your water bottle, fill up your water bottle. so we could take it upstairs because he drink, we keep a water bottle by his bedside in case he gets thirsty. And I said, I'm going to go on YouTube and see if I can find a live stream or just some video of some meteors. And I did. Now, I didn't find a live stream of the Leonid meteor shower, but we found, once again, things we take for granted. YouTube is a fantastic thing. You say what you want about it, but it is a phenomenal resource for learning. Forget all of the fluff, for lack of it. I like edutainment. For those of you that follow me that know me, I like things that educate and entertain me. I watch a lot of documentaries, stuff like that. But like I was telling my son, not just documentaries are edutainment, like Sesame Street. He watches things called Storybots. Things, there are other things that are not documentaries that are entertaining and educational, particularly children's shows. Anyway, so I found this video of celestial events, things that are happening in the sky in the month of November 2021. And they talked about pretty much every planet in our solar system, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, Mars, the moon, all of these things are going to be Venus, Jupiter. And, we go for walks at night a lot of times after dinner, and we remember seeing Venus bright in the sky earlier this month. And I have this app called, I think, Skyview. And I'm not getting compensated for any of this. This is just things that I've encountered. Support the show, please. But, and you can point it to the sky and it shows you constellations and planets and stuff like that. It's a wonderful app. Very educational. We saw all of these things that was happening, and they had some videos of meteorites. And, that was great. So we go upstairs, turn off the downstairs TV, go upstairs. And we're talking, and my son's telling me about a dream, and I was telling him all of these fascinating things that, in 20 years from now, in 2041, he'll be old enough, and depending on the direction of his life, he could be an astronaut. And I was telling him about Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin, Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, and Elon Musk's SpaceX, particularly Blue Origin, that just took William Shatner, a make-believe starship captain, to actual space last month or the month before that, and how he was cried and overwhelmed with emotion that he actually got to go to space. And today, right now, people are going to space. We're just starting. The layman, anybody, if you got the money, can go to space. How this space tourism, how different hotel chains are planning hotels in space, how we've actually physically, supposedly, quote unquote, put men on the moon, how we've landed orbiters on Mars, how we are the aliens on other celestial bodies and in orbits. We have vehicles in other planets' orbits observing. But that led me to the ISS, the International Space Station. I briefly explained to him what that was, how sometimes we can see it in the sky, and that there were people living on the International Space Station in space right now. That led me, as I kept urging him to wipe himself down, because he took a shower last night. We didn't do much today. I said, you can just do a wipe down tonight and brush your teeth. As I'm keep urging him to do that, I'm pulling up the live feed of the International Space Station. And I just thought to myself, why don't I do this more often? We take so many things for granted, but we actually have a space station that broadcasts the live feed. And I don't know about you. That amazes me when you think about it. Now, I'm a child born in the 60s. Okay. Black and white TV. Sometimes you had to put the hanger for the antenna and the pliers to turn the channel. I remember when the Walkman first came out. Wow. Now, this technology is moving at a rate that I'm just glad to be alive to witness. So I pulled up the live feed, and there is our big blue marble rotating at 1,000 miles an hour. The space station travels at 17,000 miles an hour in orbit. And when you think about this, the things that we have, the things that we have access to me, it's phenomenal. It's mind-blowing. It's fantastic. It's absolutely amazing. And this is how I came to this way of thinking about this episode and started thinking more of the things that we take for granted. The things that exist that we just don't pay attention to because we're so immersed in our lives. So I want to take a moment and I want to urge you, reassess what's really important. And like I said, for the vast majority of us, I know we get burdened with that day to day, right? Because the bills come every month, right? Yes. The drama in the news, politically, socially, medically, all of these things that try to keep us in a negative space. I want this episode after I take, I'm just coming back after my 3-week hiatus. I want to contribute positively to planet Earth. Y'all know that. That is the driving force behind my podcast. So I want you to take a moment and just reassess. Close your eyes. Take a few deep inhales, slow exhales, and just set aside at the very least a few minutes. Check out the ISS feed. And there are other feeds. I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but just to look at our planet live from space, it does something to me. It makes me go, wow, look at that. That's us on this planet floating in space. Amazing. Amazing to me. And I hope it is to you. I hope it does the same thing to you as it did to me. It just gives me a deeper appreciation of self, of family, of life on our planet, and this time that I am conscious and physically alive on Earth to enjoy it. Because so often, too often, we take it for granted. So I started just thinking, along this cam thing, things that I take for granted, that we humans take for granted a lot of times. So I just happened to check out different live cams. Now, I gotta warn you, if you go to the world's most popular search engine and you type in the 2 words live cams, you're gonna come across some, let's just say, adult material. Not all of it. They haven't been able to scrub all of it. But there are some things that will lead you down a different direction. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'll just say adult content. Wasn't what I was looking for. But on that first page, second page of the search results, listen, there are live traffic cams. There are live bird's nest cams. There are live city cams of all types, bars, restaurants. The Sakurajima volcano in Japan is alive. It's one of the world's most active volcanoes, and there is a live cam watching it. When I checked it out tonight, there's smoke billowing out of this. There are people living in very close proximity. I just don't know that I would choose to live near an active volcano, more or less the world's most active volcano. Life is a gamble, right? Everything's a gamble. I get it. But do I want to live within any close shot of the world's most active volcano. I'm thinking not, but hey, that's just me. That's me. Do you? I'll do me, right? But these live cams, I'm going to start exploring them more often, just frankly. And I think we all should. We got this tech out here, and I'm using the apps to play some silly game that is not doing anything for me. Sometimes it's refreshing to decompress and just think about nothing but this game app. But I'm like, why am I not looking at this amazing shit? This is some amazing stuff. I can go all around the world. Google, I said the word Google. I try not to say that word. They ain't paying me a dime. Nobody is yet. Please support the show, please. Value for value. If you can contribute, that'd be great. All the links are in the show notes. Anyway. You can literally walk around the whole planet with Google Earth. You can see live cameras, HD, high definition of all these types of places around the planet. Once again, if you're a young folk, you was born into this. I'm not. I'm a child of the 60s. Born in the 60s. So for me, this is amazing shit. This is amazing. And like I said, once again, I don't know how I take this stuff for granted and I haven't immersed myself in this more often. Maybe I'm a bit of a voyeur. I like to watch, stuff like this. Like those live bird nests that I checked out. It's like you in the nest. It's like somebody went and put a camera like right there. And I think to myself, these birds, I wonder if they're annoyed. Like, look, could y'all shut this shit off for a minute? Can I get some bird privacy? They're conscious enough to blink their eyes. They have children. They procreate. They hunt. Now, unlike my dog, who smiles, gets angry, gets sad, and has a full range of emotions. I don't know if birds are emotional like that, but I can only imagine they probably are, right? You ever seen a bird get pissed when they're trying to protect their nest? They will dive on you and peck you. So they have the ability to protect. Now, I don't know if that's real anger, but I mean, once again, like I said, I digress. So the things we take for granted, I'll start there with those live cams. Check them out because there's so much to see. It's like I said, it's amazing. I've heard that saying, the world is getting smaller. It's so true because, we can see and communicate all around the world and it's truly amazing and we take it for granted. Another thing we take for granted is what I call, when I was writing this, when I do the research and prepare for these episodes, I always dive too deep most of the time, but something I'll just call the general trust. And you say, yo, Mike, what is the general trust? Well, it is just that. I'll give you a few examples. One, you go to the store, you get a beverage. It's been manufactured. It's been bottled or canned. It's been delivered. So you have access to it. You buy it, you open it, and you drink it. Think about that for a second. How much trust does that take? Now one of these things we take for granted, right? We take for granted that it's not going to kill us. It's not going to make us sick. That it's safe. We take all these things for granted. That's what I'm talking about, the general trust. We have to have that trust. And a racist bigot could have bought that beverage. And a militant black person could have helped manufacture that beverage. Neither one of them know each other. Neither one of them will ever meet each other, most likely. These are the kind of things when I'm talking about the general trust. And that goes for any food, restaurant, grocery store, hot dog cart, anything that we consume. Now think about the stuff that's in cans. How often have you popped a can, put a flashlight in it, and looked in it? You don't, do you? I don't either. Most of us don't. We pop it, and we drink it. We don't know what's in that can. We know what they said is in that can. But we give the general trust, right? We take for granted that this has gone through many steps and many hands to get to our hand for our consumption. We take that for granted. Included in the general trust are many things. Driving is one of them. Now, while there are accidents, some of them due to mechanical failure, some due to people not paying attention, I doubt that the vast majority of them are intentional. They're all accidents. But the vast majority all around the planet don't have accidents. We get to and from safely without incident. The vast majority. And I don't know the stats on that. Like for every one accident, how many safe driving incidents there were. Because we don't log those, right? How many people got to and fro safely. But we take for granted that the person's going to stop at the light. That the person's going to stay in their lane. That the person's going to go the correct speed and not drive recklessly. These are things that we take for granted. We just assume that they're going to happen and we don't even think about it. Another one is, let's say, pilots. Right? They say flying is safer than driving. I've never agreed with that only because statistically, while that may be true, I don't think man was born to fly. We don't have wings, and we don't really fly. We thrust quickly. We propel ourselves and then we come in for a landing. So, flying to me is like a hummingbird or a dragonfly. That's flying, right? That's mastery. You can hover, take off. It's a magical nature. Another thing we take for granted. But these pilots that they don't crash, that they don't open the window and throw something out. Like drivers on the street. Yo, I'm finished with this wrapper. I'm just going to toss it out the window. So many things that are amazing on this planet that we take for granted. Just waking up every day. Just rising with this amazing thing we call our body. All of these systems and functions, your heart, your lungs, your eyesight, your nervous system, all these things working in conjunction with one another in synchronicity, and we don't think anything of it. We're born with it, right? It's natural. But when you really take a moment of appreciation, and you start thinking about these things, it's wondrous. And I don't want you or me to take it for granted. Now, I'm not saying wallow in its amazingness, because you could easily get lost in the fantastical. We got to go on with our day to day, but every once in a while, stop. Everything. Just stop. Think about these things. Acknowledge these things. Check these things out. This clean air we breathe. And some may argue that it's not that clean, and it may be true. It's not like, 20,000 year ago air, probably. I'm one that believe climate change is real. We've been spewing pollutants into the air for a very long time. Clean water. Once again, that's debatable. You can ask a young lady by the name of Erin Brockovich. She can probably tell you very much about different water systems around the United States in particular. But for the most part, the nectar of life, I like to call it, water, we can drink it. It's been bottled. And once again, I'm a child of the 60s. So I remember when there was no bottled water, maybe Perrier, maybe. But now, countless amounts of bottled or different types of bottled water. Now the pH water, the alkaline water, you got your energy water, you got all these different types of water. And, at the very least, you should probably try to filter your water. Because if you don't know, a lot of these water treatment plants, they're chlorine and all these variety of things, they're fluorinated waters. So, I would like to have that fresh from a stream, that creek water, that mountain water. Some people say, like, I think there's one Fiji, they claim it's from the mountains of Fiji, straight into the bottle. True? I don't know. Some people say there's a myth that there is a fountain of youth. A water so amazing can turn back the biological damage that has been done through age. I am inclined to believe that might be true. Can you imagine that? Suppose somebody's found it. They ain't telling nobody. Huh? Another thing we take for granted, and that we will have the pleasure, most likely, of dealing with, of enjoying, is family. Halloween just passed. Thanksgiving, right around the corner. Christmas, right around the corner. And I think in light of the current ongoing pandemic, in light of the supposed shortage of materialistic things because of the pipeline from things that are imported from Asia, it might be a real good time to just take a good look at the people that are family, the people that we love, the people that share our bloodline, or anybody that you call or consider family. I don't know if the last time you told somebody you loved them as you looked in their eyes, or gave them one of them hugs, the meaningful hugs, or you put both hands on their shoulder and looked them straight in the eye and just looked at them, just gave them a really good look, and you took that moment to cherish them, to appreciate that moment in time that you have with them. Because sometimes we take this living for granted. And yeah, we never know when we're going to go. Most of us live an average lifespan and some get longer. But this year, take a moment. Especially if you have a big family or if you have a small family, sit in the corner, just sit, where you can observe and just take a good look, and just soak that in. Say, you know what? I may have taken these people for granted. My wife, my children, my cousin, my husband, my grandma, my mother, my sister, my father, my grandfather, even your pets. If you got a gerbil, a rabbit, a dog, these things we take for granted. There's so many. This earth of ours offers so many things and people, and don't take it for granted. Do not take it for granted. Appreciate it. Acknowledge it. Look at it. Feel it. And if the instance is there, let them know that you appreciate them. And if it is the case, let them know that you love them. And check out them live cams. I'm just going to tell you. And anything else that you deem, because there's so much that I haven't touched on. This is going to be a shorter episode. Like I said, it's just me coming back. I'm glad to be back. Back in the booth. You know, you can expect me to drop at noon Central Time every Wednesday. I'll be back until I have a need for another break. I think I went a year without a break. So I don't know if it's going to be that long. Probably should take some more breaks in between. I didn't get burnt out or nothing, but I wanted to avoid getting burnt out. But appreciate these things, these people, these things that we have on this planet. You know, shoot me an email, mikesopinionshow@gmail.com. That's Mike's, M-I-K-E-S, opinionshow@gmail.com. Let me know what you've been taking for granted. Let me know the things that you're going to be thankful and appreciative for the end of this year and going into 2022. But I want to tell you, I've never taken you for granted, and I do appreciate you. All you do, contributions, your support, your feedback. I can't say it enough. I'm Mike, and this is the Mike's Opinion Podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much for listening to Mike's Opinion. Logic Unleashed.